What are the 3 days of darkness, and is this imminent?
They've said that we are on the precipice, and they started saying this back in October. They have talked about a period where we will lose the ability to call or talk to one another. Telecommunications shut down. It's going to be unmistakable. So it has not occurred yet. When it occurs, and they said this is the moment we will look back on and say that everything changed. So they've been very, very clear. You do not have to be perfect in order to shift to the higher state of consciousness. All that is required of us is that we are in a state of allowing. And they've said that during this period, we are meant to.
Are you ready to shine? Shine bright. Woohoo! Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered what in the world are the 3 days of darkness and the Great Flash, then do we have the What Comes Next Ann Tucker show for you. Today, we'll be talking with Ann Tucker, best-selling author, speaker, channel, and expert on the Great Flash, the Great Shift, and what's coming next. That's just what I want to talk with her about, too. What is coming next? What's about to happen? And what in the world is that Great Flash? So welcome to the show, Ann. Are you ready to shine?
Am I ever? Thank you so much. It's so fun to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much. So great having you here as well. So I can't believe I'm going to start into things this way. But before we dive right into things, people are really scared right now. Is the shift about to hit the fan?
A great way of saying it. So that's a tricky question because, I channel angels and angels live outside of time. And so they always say it's happening soon. And that's like the ongoing joke. It's like, when is soon? So, however, they've said that we are on the precipice, and they started saying this back in October. They're like, you're right on the brink. You're right on the brink. And I know everyone is looking right now at what's going on in our world, and there are major drastic changes happening. Like just in the last month, or 2 months, we've had, what is it, 4 different governments, change power and massive uprisings. And now in our own country, in the US, there's drastic change is happening, and there's a ton of uncertainty. And I would say the angels started coming in and talking to me at first about these things in 2020. And since then, I have seen so many confirmations of what they have told me. And some of it has already happened. Some of it I've seen all these other voices now come in and say, who have no connection with me, who had probably never seen my videos, know nothing about what I've said, saying the same thing, but from another lens. So many confirmations that this is where we're headed. And we are on the brink of a ton of change. And I feel it. My own daughter works for the federal government. And so she is in the thick of
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah, in the thick of it. So I am very, very aware of how people may feel. And I would say that yes, we are headed into, and it's been a period of ever since 2020. That's really the kickoff of all of this. Now we are experiencing the repercussions of that experience of the global shutdown. All of that is rippling out. So it's a continuation. And yes, we're in a period of unwinding. And what I'd say is that the consistent message from the angels is even though we actually are the frequency of change, we fear change. That humans are afraid of change, which is hilarious because literally by our vibration, we walk into a room and we create change. But we fear ourselves. But change opens the doorway to something better. And so, yes, there will be change in our lives. Some of us will find that the things that we thought we needed or the things that we thought we had to have are no longer there. And that is possible for some people in our world in this time, because in any period of huge upheaval, and yes, I believe we are heading into an even greater period of huge upheaval.
Oh, we're going
And
to have to bookmark that, and I'm afraid to come back to it.
but I would say that despite that, the angels have said that that it's not that we will lose, that we won't have anything. It's that we won't have everything, and we will get by. And it will cause us to pull together. We will be forced to get our needs met in new ways, which means leaning on one another, coming together and more locally and finding our resources met through one another.
I want to thank you. I want to dive into your background. I want to dive into the 3 days of darkness. But before I do that, when you talk about we won't, I want to play with these words, and I want to understand if the angels are playing with these words, which I know they love to do. We won't have any. We won't have everything, but we will have. Well, you may have mentioned the word anything. Here's where I'm going with it. To me, it seems like part of what we're getting with the shift is what matters is what we're going to have. And in that sense, we are going to have the connection to the world, which we do have at a clear sight level, at the level of the shaman, at the level of what I call the new human being, the birthing of the new human or humanity 2.0. And viewed from that lens, you may not have this rock, this stone, this house. And I'm so sorry, so many people are losing their homes right now, but you will have everything.
Yes. Well, you will have, yeah, you won't have everything, but you will have what you need. You will find a way through to what you need. And we see this all the time in disasters where people have the grief and they've said we are meant, whatever it is that we lose personally, whatever it is, then we are meant to grieve that and be the witness to the loss, but we are meant to immediately turn and notice that out of the ashes rises the phoenix, that in the same moment, yeah,
That's our
there you
logo.
go, exactly. In the same moment, something will be birthed out of it. And we are meant to grieve. We be the witness. We don't want to bypass the experience because that's part of it. We're meant to witness the transition. That's why we're here, is to be part of this transition and to feel it, let it move through us, but immediately focus on what is growing out of it and put our energy there.
We have a delivery driver that does occasional deliveries to the house here. His name is Carl. And I got the opportunity finally. I chased him down before he could leave a few nights ago in the dark. And it turns out Carl has been doing delivery work for the last 3 or 4 months because he has nothing else to do. He goes, I don't need the money, but I have nothing else to do because I got wiped out with Hurricane Milton. And my house is gone and everything that I have is gone. And he goes, I hate and I'm hesitant to say it, but it was the greatest gift.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
the everything that he now has.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the thing. And it's not easy, like I said, but it is such a bigger, important thing. This message is so much more important than we realize. It is not just about how we feel better. It's about how humanity shifts. It's amazing to me as the angels tell me things, and then I see echoes or different ways of seeing it in all of our sort of religious texts that are out there, like the story of the pillar of salt. There's a story, and I don't know much. I was raised outside of religion, so I am beyond not an expert on these things. But there's a story where there's people leaving, a city, and who a God or Moses or
Sodom and
somebody.
Gomorrah.
Thank you. Sodom and
Don't
Gomorrah. So
look
I don't
back.
have the words, but they say don't look back. That's the key message of it. Don't look back or you will turn to a pillar of salt. And it's this idea. And so that is a fear-inspiring story. And I'm not a fan of fear-inspiring stories. The way the angels talk about it is they say that the key towards the shift in consciousness is to release and allow. And it is because of the fact that we cannot understand how to create in the higher vibration yet because we are not there. And the new reality does not yet exist. And it won't exist until we create it. And so we have to be in a position where we allow ourselves to release what is and move into this. And it literally will blossom from inside of us, this higher perspective that is inside of us now, but will not be activated until the flash of light. And then it'll come forward. And from that higher perspective, we will create a new reality. But we have to, if we are looking back, then we're creating more of what was. And our new reality won't be nearly as bright and shiny as it could be.
I could not agree more. And when we look back, it tends to be from a place of fear, a place of regret, a place of it's okay to have grief. I don't feel allow ourselves to grieve enough, but we end up driving from the rearview mirror and then you crash or you end up repeating. And I grew up as a very confused child. I grew up going to Hebrew schools, a good Jewish boy, and going to Catholic and private Christian schools as
Oh
well.
my gosh.
But one of the things, yeah, to confuse me fully. Then I went to Native American church as I got into my young adulthood to really, fill this out. I was going to Native American church, evangelical Christian church, temple, you name it. And I just started grooving on this. But one of the things that I learned in Hebrew school that I don't agree with, and I love you if you still teach this message, was we must really learn from the past so we don't repeat it. I would say energetically, we place ourselves in the future and then we will bring it. So right now, especially, we do not, as best as we can, do not is a judgy thing. It's hard. If we can find something to attach to get to a place of love, to get to that higher vibrational state, you have this wooden mirror behind you, but to me, it actually looks like angel wings. If we can focus on the angel wings, we bring ourselves to the higher consciousness, to that higher state.
That's a beautiful thought. I love that. I love that. And it is like I do honor the like history and things like that. And I do believe that there's a big part about patterns and that we are like all of the universe is based on patterns. And that like you always hear about that about the universe is fractal and there is the fractal of the seashell and then it becomes the fractal of the universe and that we are actually evolving in a spiral shape as we slowly we do our 24,000 how estimated circuit and then we shift to a higher level and a higher level and we are in the middle of that shift right now. But at the same time, it is that delicate balance of understanding our patterns and consciously choosing to reach for something different. It's like integrating, becoming whole, and then moving into the next version of who we are, which is that reaching towards the future, which I think is what you're talking about.
Thank you. And I do agree that we get to learn from things in the past, but without that focus, because there are patterns that look on the surface and may be repeating themselves right now, and we get to understand. So that's where we are talked off air about as an energetic being having an energetic experience, I would call as a divine immortal energetic being having an energetic experience in human form. We still get to be prudent. We look both ways. We use our minds. So let's go from using our minds maybe to losing our minds. I'm hearing this from channelers everywhere right now. And we had on Carrie Kay about it maybe a month ago. And I really wanted to dive into this with you because you've been talking about this for a while and it's ramping up. What are the 3 days of darkness? And is this imminent?
Yeah, yeah. So the 3 days of darkness, there is so the way the angels have talked about it, and when I talk about things, I try my best to stay out of the way and to say what I've received. Because when I analyze it and think I put it into the context of my life, and then it gets confusing, it's not always clear. I try to say it as I've received it. But some of the things they have said about the 3 days of darkness, they have talked about a period where we will lose the ability to call or talk to one another, telecommunications shut down. So, and they've said that during this period, we are meant to tune into telepathy, to our telepathic ability, which will be coming in with the flash of light, so that we will be able to communicate in another way. But they've also said that, and I believe that in the flash of light that comes, it's almost like a breath, like almost like there is an inhale that pulls the light away and then it comes back again. And so is it that the flash of light is it like it is an intent? They said it's a solar energy, and there is the way they've talked about it. To me, it definitely sounds like the kind of thing it could be that that's affecting electronics, and we lose our ability to talk because of that. It could be that the sun is pulling the that it's like this inhale of breath that's coming from this solar experience that the light then comes back again. But in terms of exactly what it is, the main thing the angels focus on is telling us what to do during it. They have said they spend more about this is what you're supposed to do when this occurs. And that's yeah.
Oh, okay. Forgive me.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing in my head a 1980s movie or something, Beetlejuice, 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 as one of the possible ways that this flash occurs is supernova. I want to go to human, not human consciousness, humanity where we're at right now. The world goes dark or communication goes dark for 3 days. Is humanity going to lose it? Is there going to be looting? Is there going to be nuttiness? Or will people go to that place like you see in the movies right before the end takes place, where everybody gets to a loving state and goes to their family and loves them up with everything they've got?
That is like the question of the hour, because all we see on, like, what makes a great movie is all of a sudden there's a big event like that, and out of the woodwork come all these giant men with baseball bats, and they're everywhere you look, and they're all trying to attack you. Like in my life, I know no men like that. I know only kind and loving men. But I think that during this experience, it is difficult because I've seen a lot of prophetic dreams about this experience, about this wave of light that's coming. And there will be many of us who are on this path, who've been anticipating it, who've been doing our work, who understand the concept of release and allow, and we will allow this light to come through us. And as it comes through, it will be a lovely experience. I've had very specific dreams showing what it will be like for me when the flash of light comes. I've seen myself moving into the flash of light.
Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. But I also want to say that there will be those that it is a very scary experience for. And when that is the case, so it is very possible that when the flash of light comes out in the world, there may be some chaos. And what the angels say is when that happens, it is all about your vibration. And they say, when this comes, it's metaphorical, but it's also literal. Close the blinds, come into your internal space, be inside your four walls, and think about, even right at this minute, that there is crazy things going on in the world. There's wars going on in the world. There's plane crashes going on. There's crazy things happening in the world. And we can read the news and feel like we are there and we're part of it. But when we draw our focus back to our four walls and we remember, where are you sitting right now? As people are watching this right now, they are in a safe space. And it has been safe for a long time, right? If they bring their awareness back to where they are in that moment, to their individual reality, they can find peace. And that is what we're meant to do during the flash of light, is call your awareness in, because we have to respect, people are going to have their different experiences. Some people will find change very scary, but that doesn't have to be each person's experience.
So, one of the big questions that I keep getting about the 3 days of darkness and the great flash, and we're not even through this discussion here, is will everyone make it? Will people be left behind? And what I'm hearing is more of a, forgive me, an ayahuasca journey, where what you focus on and bring in may determine what you get out of the experience, but it doesn't mean it's not here to serve you, no matter what it brings in. So will we all make it through? And is it here to serve everyone?
So the angels have been very clear that it's not, people are like, is this a nuclear explosion? No, it's not. They've been very specific. It is a solar energy. And they told us in the very last message, I finally kind of got the clue that it is coming. They said it comes from our cosmic origin point. Like, it's literally an exhalation of the divine source that created us, which is amazing. But it's a solar energy, a sun. So, and I could go into that more. It's not God. Anyways,
Yeah,
that's a
it
whole
made me
other
think.
topic.
Well, I watched your last
Yeah, yeah.
channeling on this, and it made me think of, it's bigger than it, but it made me, when you mentioned cosmic point of origin, I was thinking of the Big Bang,
Yes,
except not
yeah.
just on a physical plane. That it was beyond time and space, but it was a moment, it was a pause, it was a breath, or you call it a flash.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. Well, so this was a huge awareness that I had in the last message that came through. And I feel like there was so much to talk about. I feel like we could just talk in circles for hours and just keep going because there's so much to cover. But I finally understood. They've told me for a long time this is a solar energy that's coming. And I assumed it might be Betelgeuse, the star that is going to be supernovaing. I thought it might be that. And then I had this incredible experience channeling a being who is the mother of creation. And that is not a name for just like renaming God. The mother of creation is not God. She was created by God, but I had this extremely intense experience with her. She is the mother of all souls. All souls are born through her. So yes, God is a creator, and then souls come down and are born through her, which makes, when you think about it, it makes absolute sense that we are a fractal of the universe, and everything comes from up two pairs. Everything comes from two. And she gave me an extremely personal experience. Like, I literally felt her experience and saw her experience when she became creative. So she used to be a being in the universe back before there was many things in the world, in the universe. I could see her perspective, and I could see a few things, but not many. And then God brought a son, and she merged with that son. And the thing that was fascinating is as she merged with that sun, she recognized that she could never completely merge with it, that it gave her incredible creative power. And she was playing with this golden light that was moving over her body, but she could never, there was a part of it she could never merge with. And this was super important because it created polarity. It created her this sense of identity of I am and you are. And you can't have creation without polarity. So this merging was the beginning of her as a creative being. And she took on this energy from the sun. But the sun is still this, and the sun is, I believe, the one I saw in that meditation, I believe, is the place where this flash of light is coming from. Is it the sun that's in our solar system? Maybe. I don't know. Is it a grand solar sun that's like, I don't know. But I believe it is the one that she merged with. It makes sense to me. And they've described it in this thing. And I can't even remember the original question we were talking about. But, but
Yeah, we went cosmic point of origin. We went. I'm actually going to dovetail. We're just going to riff. Forgive us, everybody.
okay.
We're going all over the place, but you will have a better understanding and hopefully feel better by the end of this.
Yes. Yes.
I've had this discussion with the angels before, and it drives me batty to no end. Particularly when I talk with them about guardian angels, and I will get, and particularly if I talk to my guardian angels, I will get that we have been with you since the beginning. And we have been with you since the beginning of time. And I'm like, okay, that's great. That's cool. And there were others before you. What? Huh? Wait, you just said I'm an eternal being and you've been with me since the beginning of time and I'm here throughout time and there are others before you and they'll say there'll be others after you. So when we go to this matriarchal figure that we are all of our souls are born through, it begets that whole time conundrum of, wait a second, if we're immortal and eternal, then yet we were born, how was there a before us?
Yeah. Well, I think it's because time was created for our experience. So time didn't always exist. That the angels live outside of time. They don't experience time. So they see things and they've shown me their vision. The best way I can describe it is if you've ever seen what a fly looks like, where they have all these different eyes. So imagine that you see reality as a bunch of like octagons and each one has a reality that or a potential and they're gradually rotating and they're drifting and they're coming and you are in the center and these realities are coming towards you and there's sort of the immediate reality where these octagons are kind of locked in place and you can see what the reality is based on what's on the surface. But coming in around them are all these other potentials and they're each one is rotating and turning. And so the angels see it like this, where it's like they can give us a prediction, as you'd call it. They tell us like what might be coming based on, oh, look, here's you've got 8 octagons heading your way, and all 8 of them are showing the same thing. Okay, this is a surefire deal.
I call
But
that the
that's,
preponderance of the evidence. So people
yeah,
say, hey, there's this great channeler who predicted XYZ, but it didn't take place. Yes, collective consciousness shifted.
yes, yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, so they're outside of time and we are living within time, but they also showed me that when we incarnate, this is fascinating actually. They showed it to me like playing pool where you have the white ball and you shoot it at the triangle balls and as soon as you hit the triangle, they go in all directions. When we incarnate, all of our lives are created at once. So it's like that. It's like you hit it with like you say, I'm incarnating and you come into this system and boom, you are all the lives all at the same time, which is mind-boggling, which is, I believe, how is it that Dolores Cannon was able to talk to Nostradamus? And like it's because it's all the same time. And so fascinating.
So let's go from there. Let's go back to the Great Flash. Then I want to get into a little bit of your history, how you got here. And it was funny when you were talking about what did you call her again, or what did she call herself?
The mother of creation.
Yeah,
She
you were saying the mother of creation was uh, uh, not the mother of the creation at the beginning, and I was going to joke. No, she was working for Microsoft. Uh, we'll get there.
inside joke.
Yes, we will get there. All right. When you talk about this great flash,
Yes.
um, the angels mentioned to you there is a moment of readiness. Does this mean humanity needs to shift first in order to meet this light?
Oh my gosh, such a great question. So they've been very, very clear that and they want to really reassure people you do not have to be perfect in order to shift to the higher state of
Woohoo!
consciousness, right? That all that is required of us is that we are in a state of allowing. And that really is, they said this is fascinating. They said that there are two sort of major themes that are energies that we are working with as incarnated beings, and it is love and forgiveness. And so that allowing is about allowing, starts with allowing ourselves to be and to have experienced all the things that are our truth, to not deny any part of ourselves. But we don't have to perfect that. That's the goal, is to perfect that, to get into the place where we truly exist in self-love. But we don't have to perfect it. They said we just need to be in a space where we are receptive, where we're ready to release what was and let in the new flash of light. But they said that the big advantage of working on yourself now is that, imagine that in this state of consciousness that we've been in, imagine that we are in third grade or eighth grade or whatever grade you want to say we've been in. So we've been in some grade. And there has been a great big textbook, which has been, all of humanity until this moment, where we could learn about ourselves. And there's loads of information about who each of us are as an individual. This is your personal book about my soul and all the ways I can express myself and grow and learn. And in this state of consciousness, this is our opportunity to read the book. And the book contains karma. Like the book is all the things that we decided we were going to create for ourselves so that we could learn about ourselves. When we get to the new higher state of consciousness, we set that book down. We no longer have karma, which is incredible, right? Incredible. But the motivation to work on yourself now is that whatever you haven't read remains unread, that we will no longer get to understand ourselves in the same way going forward. It'll be different. We'll explore a new aspect of our nature going forward. So double down, like do all the healing we can now, because this is your chance to grow as a soul. And every little bit of healing we do, we are brighter and shinier on the other side.
Thank you. So there's so much fear that's rampant today. I think we can approach it many different ways, but I'm wondering if collective consciousness could actually hit a place of overwhelm where we hit a very positive I give up, which we could call a moment of readiness, a moment of openness. Talk about an internal great flash where we're more receptive to there's got to be something coming.
Oh my gosh. Do you know, I believe that it will be so one of the things the angel said is that not everybody shifts at the same time, that there will be kind of waves. And I think I mentioned before that I saw myself shifting, which was amazing. I got to see and witness what that was in a dream. And I had two dreams about it. And what it told me, so one of the dreams, I'm thinking about a problem, and there are three problems, and I'm considering each one, and each solution has drawbacks. There's compromises, and it's a very 3D experience, right? There's no perfect solution. And then all of a sudden I turn this direction and I realize all I have to do is just smoosh over. And all of a sudden I'm in this incredible higher state of consciousness when all solutions are now without compromise, when I can see my pathway to a solution without compromise. And it's this awareness that it's that close. It's just this, I just move over. And so that's one dream. And then the next dream, I'm on the other side and I'm specifically reaching across the divide and pulling through a friend of mine, which tells me, and the angels have said this many, many times, that like people worry a lot, like people who are on the path, they worry a lot about, what about my loved ones? What about my children who are not on the path? What about my spouse who is not on the path? My parents? And what the angels say is that people who are here have the rest of their living experience to make the shift. And then because they are here, when they pass, they automatically get a boost up in vibration. Everyone who's here has gotten the golden ticket. We all get a boost when we die, but we have the chance to get the extra boost, the big boost. But not all of humanity will shift during the flash of light. Some will shift, and then and that's why is it that so many healers and channels and light workers with many different gifts are here right now? It's after the shift. It would be this massive wave of searching. And that's when all of the light workers are meant to come online and help people. They will be needed, desperately needed, to help people to then move into this higher vibration.
Thank you. I've seen this sculpture, and I was talking about it last night in our School of Mystics, which is a ladder where someone is at the top of the ladder reaching down to help the next person up. And it's not about, let's be very clear, it's not about one is better, one is higher, one is lower. This is a very three-dimensional perspective. It is just everything does go in waves, up and down, waves and troughs, up and down. And as there is this pulse or breath of the universe. The pulse brings some people forward or some beings. Doesn't mean you're any better, but then you help bring the next group through and then the next group through. So I love this way that you're looking at it. And I think it can help reduce the fear because as an empath and everybody who was watching this, it means you're energetically sensitive. You don't want to leave anyone, except for the people swizzle strong your energy. You don't want to leave anyone behind. Yes, we were doing a clearing on that last night.
You're so right. And it is a big worry. And so people wonder, like, because there's been so many, like, there's some religions believe that there will be people will literally be like disappeared out of cars and their family will be like, where did mom go? And the
I saw
angels
a
say,
bumper sticker on the Rapture last week, or it was a license plate, and it said, "If vehicle is empty, Rapture has occurred," or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
exactly, exactly, which would be disastrous for anybody remaining. You know what I mean? It would be disastrous. So, anyways, what the angels have said is that we will coexist, but that it is a separation of experience but in the beginning, we will coexist. That your family, like you can be in the same household with, so you can have shifted and you can be in the same household with someone who has not shifted, but your experience of reality will begin to shift increasingly. And it will over a long period of time, it will become much harder for people. They said that our hearts will become intolerant of the lower vibration, which is important to recognize that. But people don't have to worry. They're not going to be pulled apart from their families.
What I love that I don't love, but it's such an important word, intolerance. What does that mean insofar as we look at the world today and it's become, and I want to talk about this interplay of light and darkness, this dichotomy right after this, but we look at the world today and no matter what side you're on, and I put that in air quotes because there are no sides on a round planet, there are no sides on anything. We're energy. Point out a side of energy. Um, when we look at the other people as completely insane.
Yes, it's true. Isn't that so funny? Yes. Yeah. So I don't, what you were just, oh, I wanted to say,
Where do we go with that? If there is going to be an intolerance and we start to go
oh,
as we're going up in vibration, and yet we can't handle or not handle, I don't want to go anywhere near that intolerance. How does this actually bring us together as one when we look and say, they're heading down a path of darkness, I'm heading down a path of, which is a very dangerous statement indeed, because you do not know which is the path of light and the path of dark. You're just following the tug on your heart. Where do we go with that?
it is the thing is that the pathway forward is available to anyone on earth is for their entire lifetime, that they always have the opportunity to shift. And there will be many of us who are called to serve. There will also be, and there already are, incarnated angels on earth. So there are people here who can see angels already. The angels that they're seeing are the incarnated angels. Not all angels, very few angels are actually incarnated. But when we shift, many of us will be able to see those incarnated angels, which is incredible. So there will be tons of support to try to help people to move into the shift. But it is true that each individual person's journey in the beginning, it will be a thing where we will be like, okay, we're still in our house, we're still in our family. And that may be for the remainder of your life, but you may feel a pull where it becomes it's harder for us to dip back down. We are trying to set the new standard. We want to draw them up. Right now, when we're with people, a lot of times we meet in the middle. We don't want to do that. We want to hold the high vibration and draw others to us.
Thank you. Greatest statement of the whole evening because I couldn't agree more. Evening, day, wherever we are, whatever we are, which is to me, it makes no sense. I say it time and time again. It makes no sense to dim your light for anyone because it does not help a single soul.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I wanted to go back to, because I think it's fascinating. You know how I said how there's all these things that are in religious texts that then show up, they're an interpretation or a view or a vision of, and then I hear something from the angels and I see the parallel that this concept of the rapture and people disappearing. So I believe that that is a interpretation. So there will be some major earth events. There'll be some and already, fires, flooding, water. The angels have said over and over again, massive amounts of water. And that's from rain, that's also from giant waves. There's a lot of water. It's cleansing.
It's
And so
Noah.
what? Yeah, yeah. It's not going to be a flood thing where it's not going to be mass extinction or anything like that, but it will be a lot of water. But anyways, there will be some major catastrophes. And when those happen, what they have said is that people will be, in those moments, people will be raptured, that they will be taken from their bodies before the body experiences the trauma of death. And they will be brought into this higher state of consciousness. So they get, so, and anybody who comes, who's here, who goes through that experience, knew about it from coming. They chose that experience because they knew they were going to get this amazing boost in consciousness. So it is something to be, and you'll see it's amazing because I sometimes like I'll geek out and I'll listen to people's rapture dreams, and they're all about that. They'll be looking out a kitchen, they'll be in the kitchen looking out a window, and they'll see a giant wave coming, and then all of a sudden they're out of their body and they're flowing up, and they end up in a big church in the sky with all their family around them. You know what I mean? And clearly what's happened is they say, I've been raptured, and who got left behind? But it's not that somebody got left behind, it's that was their chosen exit point, and this is the moment that their vibration was brought up to this higher state, and now they will be up in, as what I would call it, heaven. They'll be on the other side, and being able to observe the rest of humanity shift.
There's a publisher. I'm not going to remember his name. New World Library. The founder of New World Library. We had him on the show years ago. They used to publish Eckhart Tolle's work, and he talked about being in a school play, college play, and where they pretend to, as part of the play, hang him for some reason in the play. And he said that it was an equipment malfunction, and he got hung. And there he is on stage. He's playing his role, and all of a sudden he's flying over the Himalayas,
Oh my
and he's got no body, and he's in such this joyous, amazing place until they cut him down. That's what I think of, or I think of. Forgive me, we're recording this just after the American Airlines tragedy in
Yeah.
DC, and I've thought about this before we went on air. Is when it happened, I believe that everybody, this is just my own personal belief. Please forgive me. And if your loved ones are affected, oh my God, do I send so much love, so much love, so much love. But I imagine that when it took place, everybody just went straight up. Their bodies may have fallen down, but they were already up. They were already in their woohoo.
I agree. I agree. And it is comforting, I think, to know that. It is comforting I mean, it's like the angel said that when events like that happen, we are meant to witness and to process our grief. We're meant to feel it and to be the witness and to recognize that passing. But for the person who goes through it, I think that is the beautiful thing. And it does help to know that they don't experience the physical trauma of that event during this whole period of soul evolution, which is I think it's great to know.
Yeah. And that soul evolution, I would say, is full on right now. I have one last question until I get briefly to your journey. We're really talking about ebbs and flow and waves and troughs and lightness and darkness. What is this interplay of light and dark that you see going on?
Boy. So, okay. So polarity is always going to be part of our experience, but we will work with it very, very differently when we get to the higher state of consciousness. Right now, we are most of the human experience is we are, and that is what I would define awakening as, is the moment when we recognize that we are the creators of our experience. Most humans, yeah, most humans believe that the world is happening to them, and they see the darkness in the world as something outside of them, and it becomes this very scary thing that takes on human form in ways that are really cruel and unkind, and it takes on energetic forms that are cruel and that can feel cruel and unkind. That and this polarity right now, it is coming to a head. It's coming to an experience where there's all of these experiences that have happened on earth that are stored in the earth, that all of the wars we've had, all of the arguments that we've had, all that energy is in the earth. And the earth herself, is the one who's actually starting this whole evolutionary process. She needs to bring it, all of that has to come to the surface to be seen. So is it the fact that humanity has just gone off its rocker and we're all hating each other? Or is it that those feelings were always there and they're just coming out into the surface to be cleared, to be perceived, to be witnessed, and to be observed, and so that we can process them and let them go? And that is what I believe. I believe they're coming to the surface to be released. So, but when we get to the higher state of consciousness, we will still work with polarity, but it will no longer be from a subconscious state. We will understand that there is light and dark in us, but the dark is potential. It's what it's meant to be. It is the potential. It's an infinite, undefined creative potential. And we dip into that dark, like in every winter, we reach into what is the growth that's happened in the soil so that we can then create something new in the light. So yeah, so that is what it will become. It's just that because we've had this externalized experience of our world, we've turned the dark into this something evil.
I don't have a full way to thank you. I don't have a full way to grasp this, but I get images while I'm talking with people. Oh, and I've been saying a prayer today, and usually I say a prayer just saying I send love, and this is my prayer stone. I send love, and I'm sending love to you. But my prayer switched to please help people to pop today. Please help people to pop today, because my whole mission is for people to recognize they are the creator with a big C.
Yes, right? Yes. Yeah. And it's amazing to see that switch of awareness. Like I would love to reach young people because I have kids in their 20s, and I would read trying to navigate like working with my kids and trying to help them see how they are creating their lives and how they can take control of that, how they can become a creator as opposed to feeling like life is just happening to them. It has been one of the most beautiful experiences of my life as a parent. It's been one of the most fulfilling because they start to see themselves empowered, and I'm thrilled, like absolutely thrilled to see them start to recognize, wow, if I show up differently, then I get a different result. And that awareness. So I think it happens because so much of it happens in stages, I think, that pop you're talking about, because we have the initial like, wow, and then it's a process of continually trying to see ourselves and trying to see what is it that's happening in our world that we are creating? What is it? Where are we dissatisfied? Where do we feel anything other than joyful? But seeing ourselves becomes the challenge.
Thank you. And so going back to this interplay of light and dark, when you mentioned dark, what I saw, I got an image of the universe as the dark matter, but not as dark that we don't know what this dark matter is, but the dark matter is actually the light, and the dark matter is what actually is this fabric of light. That there is this polarity of darkness and light, and the darkness is the light. It is the super glue of everything.
Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. The angels have talked about this quite a bit, and they talk about it as the sea of infinite potential. It is feminine energy, which is not dark in the sense of evil or bad. It's amazing. Feminine energy is that motherly love. It's
That's the
infinite.
womb. That's where everything grows.
Yes, yes. It is infinite compassion. Feminine energy, it is freedom. It is about renewal. It is about infinite love. It is completely non-judgmental, right? It's amazing. And this is the space that in darkness, when we retreat, and that's when we recover, when we heal, right? All of that. It's sacred space. But yeah, I absolutely agree. And it is understanding that's what it can return to as we go through this experience of shifting our consciousness. But even as we each individually become self-aware, we begin to understand our relationship to our shadow. And the angels frequently call it the shade. The shade of, and it's like here's your solar being, and then here is this, and I think they like it because they call it the shadow and the shade. And it's this mysterious and evolving, rich container that's available to each of us. Yeah.
Say without the shadow or the shade, we ain't going anywhere. And on
Yeah.
that note, I will bend it like Beckham, and I will steer this around to my joke about Microsoft and the divorce heard around the world, at least on the inside.
Yes, yes, yes. So my background. So I started out life very, very conventional. I thought like as a little kid, even though I remember very early having a conversation with my guides, and as a little girl, I knew the voice was outside of me, but you're 5, you don't think anything of it. And I remember them telling me I was going to teach people how to live better. And I thought, how would I do that? I don't know how to live better than other people do. But as them telling me and them laughing, and I remember this conversation. And but then as I grew up and went further and further and further into my masculine energy, and that was based on my own conditioning as a child, then I thought I wanted to be a James Bond. I thought I wanted to have like international travel and intrigue. I thought at one point I wanted to be an archaeologist because I wanted to be Indiana Jones. So, my ideas of the world were formed based on things that were given to me by media and stuff like that. So I had this very conventional view of life. So I did. I got the job at Microsoft and I was doing the international travel, doing all the stuff I wanted to
And you
do.
knew CJ Liu.
So crazy. She and I actually worked together on a project. Yeah, which is so awesome. She's amazing. So,
That's a briefly, that's an inside joke of she was our co-host with Inspire Nation for 8 or 9 years, and we love her very dearly. So she got her start at Microsoft too. Okay, please
yeah,
continue.
yeah, at the same time. But then anyway, so and then I continued. I took some time off, had children, went back into the corporate world. I was an executive coach, had a very successful career in executive coaching, was working mostly with tech firms, med tech firms, the biggest companies in the world. And working with the C-suite, working at a very high level. I had a very successful career. And then I had this undeniable pull to spirit. And I started having all these mystical experiences. Just it happened with my divorce, and the rug got pulled out from underneath me, and everything got shaken loose. And then, boom, in comes psychic experiences. And I got to the place where I was like, kind of, okay, if I was an executive coach, how would I coach myself through this? And what I said was, what I would say is, okay, give it a year. Take a year and just double down, do everything, do all the things, sign up for every workshop, go to every festival, find every guru, mentor, whatever you need to try to figure this out. So that's what I did. And I will tell you, it was a huge decision because I realized I wanted to be a healer, that I was meant to be a healer. It was showing up in all my dreams. And I knew that you cannot be, especially in these extremely left-brained companies that I was consulting for, you cannot be in the boardroom and be talking to angels. You cannot. It was a one-way ticket. So I left something that was very successful for something that was totally unknown and extremely, like at the time, people told me I was crazy. Oh, you're crazy. You'll
How
never
did you
make any
feel?
money. I was excited. I mean, scared, yeah, but so excited, so excited. And it was like every little thing that happened, every crazy serendipitous moment, I would just, it was intoxicating. It was this idea that yeah, there's magic in the world. Like, how could you do regular stuff when there's magic in the world, you know? And that's how it felt. It just felt like I would be crazy not to. But it was definitely, and I worked as a healer for years, and then it was years before the angels came through. It was years. I was working clairvoyantly, clairsentient, doing a very specific healing modality.
There was a point you talk about in your journey where forgive me, it felt like somebody sat on you
Yes,
for like
yes.
6 months, and then you're surrounded by angels for 6 months. What happened?
It was so crazy. So I was working as a healer, and like I said, I was working mostly. I had this very specific modality that evolved based on experiences that I had, that I figured out how to work with energy. Then one day I was sitting out meditating in my usual spot, and the minute I closed my eyes, boom, I had this intense pressure that comes in here and here on my head and on my chest. And it's so strong, so physical, I could barely breathe. It's like, I mean, I'm struggling to breathe. It's just sitting, and I'm thinking, I know, okay, this is my guides. Why are you sitting on me? Like, normally when I would do my healing, they would come in through my back, through my chakras, and then healing energy would move through me. This, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, okay, if you want to come in already. Like, I trust you, come in. Nothing. They just sat on me for like six, and it was this would happen, and I would just sit with it and breathe through it. Like, it was kind of exciting because it was something, like something was changing. I just didn't know what it was. This went on every single time I sat down to meditate. The minute I closed my eyes, boom, the pressure was back, and I could not figure it out. So I was going a little bonkers. And then after 6 months, it finally dawned on me that they were not trying to come in, they were trying to lift me up. And the minute I had the thought, my crown chakra opened and zoop, up I went. And then I was in a space surrounded by angels. I could see them clairvoyantly. And I was like, of course, ecstatic. It was amazing because I'm like, oh my gosh, this was what they were trying to do all this time. It just took me this long to figure it out. And I was waiting for them to say something, and I was trying to talk to them. And all they did was sit there and just smile at me, like so peaceful and so calm and like so happy to see me, but no words, no communication. And that went on for another 6 months where I was trying to figure out, how do I talk to you? And I tried, can you write on a tablet? Can I do sign language? Can you, like, nothing. I would get nothing. They would just wait. They were clearly waiting for me to figure it out. And I was trying different things. So after about 6 months, it finally dawned on me that I would go up and then I would very carefully bring a part of myself back down and I would write. And I know this is big because you are an automatic writer. Yes. And and I saw it as I brought a part of myself down, it like it created a tunnel between me and them, like a chute. And they would send words down it. And I was like, just send me, because I'm a very skeptical person. And I was going to have a hard time believing, unless they said it audibly in my ears, I was going to have a hard time believing it unless I was totally out of the picture. So I said, just send me one word. So I just sent me one word down the chute at a time. And what was amazing is if I didn't write the word down, the word would get stuck in the chute. It would just hover there. And every time I looked up, I could still feel the word right there. And they would wait and so I did this half a page. And I thought that was gibberish. I was like, I must have made all that up because none of that made any sense. And then I set it aside. I stuck back. I came out of this trance and I looked at it. And it was not only did it make sense, it was poetic and had this incredible divine intelligence. And that was the beginning. So I started out with the writing the words, and then eventually they said, try dictating it. And so I tried, and I learned how to go into this deeper trance state where they could just and eventually they started to, like I said, just to come into my body. That was a whole thing because they had to recondition my vocal cords, which took about 4 months. So I couldn't barely speak for about 4 months. And yeah.
Is it something you can drop into in the moment? Like if we asked you to now, is it that easy or is it a whole process?
I can go into trance fairly quickly. I go through a grounding process, and that's part of, I lead others through the grounding process. That's how I get myself into trance. If I take time, so when I do my messages for my own Friday lives for my YouTube channel, I will take a half hour and just meditate before I go into trance. So I'm able to go deeper when I do that. And then I love that because I'm really out of the way. But yes, I can go in fairly quickly.
Would you mind if we dive in for just a little bit and get a little bit more of the skinny on the Great Flash?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Flash, I mean, boy, there is so much information out there. And I think that's one of the challenges is if it is something that makes you fearful, it shouldn't be. That the Flash is it's love. The Flash is loving energy coming to the planet. And the fact is that there's a lot of people who have a really hard time receiving love. And so yes, there will be people who resist it, who don't let it in, and they will not like it. But if you are, and you don't have to be perfect, you don't even have to be perfect at receiving love to receive the flash. All you have to do is to recognize what it is. So they've given us some very specific instructions when this comes. And it's not going to be a thing where, say, for example, that you're like at the grocery store and you're like, I'm in the flash of light. And now what am I supposed to do? Like, I think you'll have time to get home. They described it as like rain. How did they describe it? Rainbow. They used a specific words. I forget the word sometimes, but it's the word. When I see it visually in my mind, it's almost like little arcs of energy popping around us. Like it's highly electrified, the environment, but it's kind of rainbow at the same time, if that makes sense. Like it could be kind of like almost like aurora borealis combined with these arcs and sparks. But it's going to be unmistakable. So it has not occurred yet. When it occurs, and they said this is the moment we will look back on and say that everything changed. That's how they first described it to me. The moment that all of humanity will look back on and say that was when everything changed. But but when it comes, they said that and there will be a moment during this period when our bodies will get heavy. We will feel physically heavy. And that's the moment we're trying to separate from our karma. And they said, when that happens, they just want us to lay down. Just lay down and just rest. And they said, we don't have to work it. We don't have to fight it. The angels will literally lift us from our karma. So there are angels physically embodied. They're in light bodies, so we can't see them, but they are here to help us through this journey. And they say that there will be they call it like a cocoon or like an umbrella that they have carried for us, which will surround us during this process of transition. And they say what that umbrella is, or what that they say they say there will be a bubble of an umbrella of peace that will come over us, which will be so if you are in the process of releasing, you may worry that you're going to be anxious, but you will, and all everybody, even those people ask, what about my children? What about if you have someone who is unable to care for themselves? Umbrella of peace. There will be this energy that will come over each of us, which is an umbrella of peace, which you don't have anxiety when you're under the umbrella of peace. So your kids, this is going to be like second nature for them. They're not even going to worry. They're going to be just feeling happy and peaceful. Then they bring in a, they see us as we will become. So they have a no, understanding of who we become on the other side. They take that as an energy and they create a cocoon for us around us of that energy. So the angels are creating a cocoon of energy, which is based on who we become. And then within that cocoon of energy, it is like we become energetic goo. And we have inside of us this higher state of consciousness. So we were the first generation of humans to be born with two states of consciousness inside of us. We have the 3D state of consciousness, and we have what people term as, to me, it's just shifting from one frequency to another. We have this higher frequency inside of us, and it's been there the whole time. It is still us, all our memories, all of our personality. But imagine yourself, rather than being playing your emotions at this octave, we boost to this higher octave where all of a sudden we feel things and feelings at a much higher state. We don't dip into the same level of anxiety or rage or anger. We are instead are playing in this higher frequency of emotions. And that inner state, as we are in this cocooned stasis, it blossoms from inside of us. And it will be almost as if, like, when, like in The Matrix, when Keanu Reeves gets the download and he's like, I know Kung Fu. Like, it'll be like, like, it'll be like all of a sudden we are still us, but we have this new spiritual awareness. We have this new ability to see things from a higher state.
Beautiful. So, would you mind doing a short channeling of the angels?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah.
Let's
All
play.
right. Okay. So if you will ground with me. All right. So let's close our eyes. Drop down from your tailbone a nice thick root that goes down through the floor and down into the ground. And follow it down with your mind as it grows and extends, growing deeper and deeper into the earth. Following it down where it's dark and cool, extending longer and longer, and following it all the way down to the very, very center of the earth. And when it reaches that center point, feel the root sprout and anchor itself in. And as it does, notice that the root is pulling gently and becoming taut. And feel as that tautness moves all the way up the root. And now all the way up your spine, anchoring you securely to the earth. I'd like to ask the angels to please help me to be a clear channel of healing and information for Michael and all people watching this video, and for myself. Please help us to receive this healing and information. Thank you. Okay, I'll bring in the angels. Beings of light, we are together now as we always have been. We are the instigators of your mindful thoughts, of the vibrations which bring you higher. We are the source of remuneration for your good deeds. We bring you blessings. We bring you good things. We are angelic in form and in our ways. We are an essence. We are an essence of loving embrace. We are the awareness of the divine, and we encapsulate you always in a vibration of love and loving energy. You may ask of us what you wish to know.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to you in a minute to go wherever you want based on the conversation that you've heard. But before that, the question that all of humanity continuously asking is today is, are we going to be all right? Are we definitely, certainly going to make it through this time period?
Humanity has shifted already from our perspective. Humanity is there. Humanity has now a greater perspective from above the circumstances which you are now mired in. You see yourselves from a new vantage point, from a perspective of loving one another and what is. The earth becomes an embraced being that you care for, that you are in relationship with deeply. You are held in a continuity of loving consideration for all beings and all things. You are now within the fighting framework of the last glimpses of a perspective that is shifted. You are in the last breath, the last gasp of what has been a venture rightly lived. You have done what humanity would have wished for itself. You have led the lives and done the things and celebrated yourselves in the accomplishing of what was needed, what was necessary for your own growth and dynamism. The population of this earth shall change. There shall be a revivification of what humanity can be and become. The new you shall reflect your higher purpose, which is to manifest your form into being in multiple ways while incarnated, to create from yourself. This shall bring new understanding to humanity. A new consciousness evolves from this. Where you are now contains much suffering, and you have suffered. You have been brought through to yourselves through suffering. It has been an experience worth having. All you have been done, received, and experienced has been purposeful and made for the purpose of your own expansion and understanding. The times that are coming are unevenly blessed. There are aches and traumas in existence that will be experienced. There will be hardships that will happen. An unraveling of the systems of this earth must occur for the new beginnings to be born. They cannot be born from nothing. They come from what is decrepit and fallen, what has become remade. The new earth comes from what is released. Therefore, there must be a grand releasing, a letting go of what was. The systems and the structures you have relied on do not serve you in the ways that they should for the highest consciousness of humanity to be born. You cannot be contained in the structures that limit you if you are to become limitless. They must be renewed. They must be let go, let down. And in this great firing of all that has been counted upon, there will be grief. But within the structure of that grief is the very renewal that will bring you to the precipice of what can be described as heaven on earth. Do you understand us?
I do. And the human part of me wants to understand more about the timeline, which I understand timelines are continuously swirling and changing. How long is what I'm going to define as this period of darkness, or dare I say, decay, because decay becomes the soil of new growth? How long does this process take place? And is the great flash something that occurs during this process? After this process? How does this all fit together?
There shall be a time not far on the horizon now. It is almost in sight, almost beginning, almost here, wherein your countenance observes the greatest illumination you could believe, the greatest structure of divine love that embraces you all. And this will come, and it will illuminate this earth and draw you into a bridging patterning of restructuring who you are into the new consciousness of humanity. Before this occurrence, there shall be a greater unraveling than what has already been done. There shall be an unearthing of great quantities of soil and landmass, and this shall rupture the earth in two ways. There shall be a bridging of earth that occurs, as well as water displacement. These structural changes wreak havoc in certain regions and populations of this planet. This is the most significant and noticeable changing that will occur. There shall be others. There shall be structureless regions on this planet without governance, where governments are overextended and diminish in their abilities to perform their duties. There shall be some chaos, which is revealing within itself the very nature of the unwinding. What is revealing itself in all ways through these processes of upheaval and revolution is that process internal, which you are also experiencing. It is the great renewal of the human spirit. You are born from God. You are born through light and from light. You are made from light, and you are eternal beings. And this instantiation, though lovingly given, is not the eternality which your soul does know. It is merely a placement of yourself, wherein you have come to be a part of this enormous bridging across the gap of awareness into a higher and brighter state of being. That which you shall perform in these days is significant, each one. Those that may pass during the greatest catastrophes, which we have described, are in the knowledge and are prepared for this, and none shall go missing. None shall feel the pain of these experiences. All shall be brought through to their highest regard. All have known and accepted this contract and are brought into the higher plane of existence by choice. Those that remain shall feel within their hearts the pull to spirit like no other time. Great movements of love shall be passing across the surface of this earth, drawing peoples together in spirit. There shall be those that resist, and this is not forbidden. There are no rules by which humanity is bound in this experience. Your free will is always respected. Those that may choose not to surrender to the experience of love shall find themselves choosing another dimension of experience and longevity. Those that feel they may move into higher agreement with themselves by remaining within the construct of karma shall do so. And this is a perfectly admirable choice. All of humanity is gifted with the desire for better understanding themselves and shall pursue the path where they perceive at the soul level the greatest opportunity for their own unveiling. Do you understand us?
It begets a kind of a double question here, which is people are going to wonder, how do we keep ourselves and our loved ones safe? And is this a splitting of humanity?
We say you are always held in safety. You are never held in risk. There is no substance of this earth that can wound your soul. There is no experiencing here that lasts beyond the earthly incarnation. All that comes with you and held in spirit is what is loved and loving within you. The self as you are will hold during this time period a sense of yourselves as in surrender. And you must evolve with that emotion. It must move through you throughout the chaos. You must understand there will be grieving and there will be turmoil. These experiences will be had in many parts of this earth, but have the knowledge that the earth is very grand, very big, and you are very small. And there can be many regions and distributions of these experiences that occur. Not all things happen in every place. Where you are may experience only minor dislocation or disruption. Be aware that you are guided. You are not without support. You may be hearing within your own soul, in the depth of your knowing, that you may relocate to find safety. this may occur for some beings. We would encourage you to be attuned to what is your inner feeling. Do not choose by fear. Choose from love. Choose from joy. What brings you towards joy? And follow this. This is your truth. This is your knowing. Choosing from fear is a reaction against what is externally thought, and it misleads you and takes you astray. There will be provisions made for your support and your endurance through these experiences. You are not forlorn. You are cared for. There will be provisions. You will be provided for. You will be brought forth. Humanity will thrive through these experiences. They are not made for comfort. They are made through growth. However, your needs will be met. You need only listen to the heart that speaks to you. It will guide you toward your safest path, your greatest affinity with your environment. You may prosper even through this great unwinding. There will be regions on this plane of existence that are much the same at the culmination of these events. Not all places will experience the same degree of upheaval. There is no choice related to judgment in these occurrences. This is dictated by the earth herself in her own undoing, in her own relieving of the pressures of her own wounding. It is not chosen as a punishment against humanity. It is made for the fruition of her soul, for she is one much like yourselves. Do you understand us?
Thank you so much. Is there, there's the human part of me that wants to understand if this is Greenland and the ice melting or what's taking place where this land mass is visible. I'm not sure if you can share anything else about that. Is if or if not, is there anything that you want to share about this time period that we need to know or that will help us prepare? Or honestly, listening to this, I can hear a lot of our audience actually getting more concerned about their physical well being. Is there anything you can do to assuage our hearts at this time?
Please have always the understanding that you are sacred, you are loved, you are embraced by us. We are many angelic beings. Angels are here to provide for you, to guide you, to assist you. You are held in love. There will be mystical experiencings which guide you through unheard of envelopments which protect you, which caress you in love through the experiencings you would rather not have. You are drawn through this period in the grace of the divine. Have trust and faith in your own spirit to love yourself. You need not fear your physical membranes. You are not made to suffer. You are made to thrive through this experiencing. You shall rise to see a better day for humanity. You need only have faith in who you are. Trust in yourself. Love the person you've been and become. Be in faith to that center of self. Listen to what pulls you toward joy. The feelings of this earth dictate suffering. Fear comes from the anticipation of what cannot be love. Fear comes from the expectation of change that you cannot control. The sense that you must be in charge of your own consecration and none other will look after you. And yet you know not how to provide for yourself through the uncertainty of what seems enormous change. And we say, you are not living in the space of solitude. You are embraced by divinity in all ways. This earth holds you in protection. Simply examine the earth as she has performed her rightful duty to you until now, and perceive your life in its continuity, and perceive how you have always managed to be provided for. You have always had shelter. You have always found sustenance. You have always had what you need. or you would not be here. And this shall continue, but in new ways. In some cases, your lives will not be heavily disrupted. In some cases, they will be. And those that feel themselves elevated by the experience of this disturbing may consider themselves the luckiest of all. For you will be thrown together into the structure of a new earth more quickly. You will know yourselves to gather about you the love of each other, and you will find within that the fruits of a new world, and it will breathe into you the faith of your new belonging, and it will come to you as if on the wings of angels. For there are many who have incarnated to this earth for this new beginning, more than ever before. Many gather about you at all times. They are here not simply to witness during this period of exaltation. They will provide for you, protect you, guide you, nurture you. You are not alone. You are being brought through into the spectacle of a new and effervescent beginning. Do you understand us?
Thank you so, so much. Are there any last words you want to share? Or if not, if Anne wants to come back, it's beautiful. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
We say thank you, Michael, for guiding this conversation, for the spirit that lives within your heart, for the truth of your own earthly being who speaks the knowledge and wisdom of many ecstatic generations of Michael, which we have known intimately. We say blessings, thank you, and goodbye.
Welcome
Hi.
back.
Hello. So what I
Hello.
miss?
Well, the biggest highlight or low light, because I think I could be wrong. People both feel okay, yeah, I'm safe on a cosmic level. But there was this upheaval or upwelling of the earth and a rupture of the earth and a bridging of the earth and flooding of many places. It did not sound pretty or easy. And it does sound to me like a lot of people will check out early, will check out on their perfect time, which is earlier than that what they would consciously choose, is
Maybe.
what I go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so they have talked about these events, and there are a lot of them I talk about in my book, in the What's Coming Next book. I call it the Earth Rift. That's the first way they discussed it, was the Earth Rift. And I think yes, there will be some really big Earth events. And the first one they talked about, I believe it happens, they said Indian Ocean, like the Indian line in the Indian Ocean. So I believe it's some sort of underwater volcano type thing, rupture of, and I do believe that that there's from this event, there's a lot, and they said it will be so loud it will be heard around the world. It will be a huge event. So it'll be unmistakable when it happens. It won't be like we have lots of things that happen. This will be one like when Tonga happened. I thought, is it Tonga? Because you could hear it halfway around the world. But no, this one they said everyone around the world will hear it and feel it. It will be a huge shifting of Earth. And there may be others, like they did mention that it's possible, anyways, they've talked about so many things, but
Oh,
I
you
believe,
can't leave me with that teaser there. Is it possible?
I'm so
So while we
sorry.
get to wind this down, you
Oh,
cannot leave it.
well, it may, if there could be that they're like the ocean, if it's in the ocean, it could be that it creates like a lot of water goes up into the atmosphere. But I know that there will be super heavy rains. So yes, there will be some really big waves that come from this because of this big eruption. So we will have some tsunamis, but also and when people dream about tsunamis, I believe sometimes they're dreaming about actual tsunamis, but a lot of times they're dreaming about waves of spirit. It's the wave of light. They're dreaming about, because the water in dreams means spirit. You're dreaming about the wave of light that's coming, which is great, right? Amazing. But there could be also a lot of just rain, like really a ton of rain. So if you live in a floodplain, be aware that there could be way more rain than we're used to, way more. So just be prepared for that. And the biggest thing the angels tell us is they tell us all the time, not everything happens everywhere. that where you are may end up being just fine, but they do tell everyone, please have a way to filter your water to prevent viruses. So, like you want a way to easily, without boiling your water, be able to eliminate viruses from your water source. They've also said, please have a backstock. Not, it doesn't have to be forever, but like, and you can get inexpensive water filters. You can buy a life straw for like 20 bucks. Doesn't have to be crazy. And then they ask everybody, please have a backstock of food. It could be rice and beans, could be just big bag of rice and beans. So food things may be disrupted at times. So to be, you just want to be able to just follow the Red Cross recommendations, which we should all do anyways, you know? So there will be some things that happen, but they always remind me, they say not everything will be like I told before, that there will still be, we will still make it through. But the interesting thing they were showing me in this channeling, which they've never showed me before, I get a different tract of information as they're speaking to you, they're showing me something different. They were showing me that they will physically intervene in ways they normally don't. They were showing me mystical and magical things happening. They showed me people being like, imagine that you are in some sort of something bad happening, and they literally wrap you, if you're meant to stay, they wrap you in a bubble of gold. Like it, that's what they showed me. They showed me actually intervening in cases where people are meant to stay and they happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the thing that brings me peace is at the same time they're saying all these things, they're also telling me you need to write another book, you need to travel to these places, they're giving me things that I'm supposed to do that imply that the world is still going to be here. We are still going to be here, and there's going to be lots of places on this earth that are not affected in this way. It's just that when you have something this big, it will affect some regions. So the biggest thing is, if you're worried, if you live in an area that's prone to these kind of experiences, it's really important that we try to listen to our hearts and try to feel guided. And they say all the time to not make a choice based on fear. Don't feel like you're moving because, or changing your lifestyle, or choosing something differently because you worry what came through today. Feel into what would be amazing for me. Where do I find joy in my life? Where would I love to live? Am I living? Do I love where I live? Is there somewhere I would love more? And choose from that place. And then you're being truly guided by your heart. If you feel into it, and you're like, no, I love it here. I love where I am. You're probably fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, a couple last questions. First off, you mentioned your book. Where can people go to find your book and find out more? And along those lines, of where do you want to travel to write about next? Because you just said, and I feel pulled to travel and then to write. So, where do people go to find your book, find out more, and where are you being pulled and called to go?
Oh, thank you so much. So my book is called What's Coming Next, and it is I kind of cherry picked most of the channeled messages I got in that 4 year period from 2020 to 2024, all about, and I cherry picked the one specifically about this great shift. And they go into, and I would love for people not to focus too much on the scary things. Like the angels tell us about them, not to make us fearful. They tell us about them so that we will not be flat-footed. What they don't want to have happen is have people be scared to the point where they turn into fear. They want us to see something happen, to be like, oh my gosh, there was that big earthquake, and oh my gosh, there is this calamity that happened, and to say, okay, I'm okay. The world is going to be okay. Humanity is okay. And I understand this is a process, the unraveling. This is a sign that we are moving closer to the great shift. This is a sign that there's something, this is a great movement of Earth. We know there will be a massive upleveling in humanity because of it. Look for the rise. Look for what is growing out of it. It will be immediate, they said, immediate. But yeah, book is What's Coming Next. And it tells you all about what you specifically can do during the process to help move you through the shift, and specifically what you can expect to feel, experience, and know during it. And they can also find me on YouTube, which is my name, Ann Tucker, on YouTube.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then that's Anne with an E for everybody.
Yes, ANNE. Mm-hmm.
And where are you being pulled, called?
Oh my gosh. So I am the latest and greatest. I had a dream where my angels told me in the dream to take one act of a play on the road. And so I do a big retreat each year, which is going to be coming up. It's not formally announced yet, but it's typically in October. I do a big retreat and I love it. And the one act of the play is one part of that retreat, which is I do a special healing with the mother of creation, which is what I'm meant to now bring through. And I will be bringing that on the road. So I've got a 1 day event planned in Phoenix. I'm about to do another one. I'm probably going to do it in New York. Will probably be the next location. So that's probably where I'm headed next is New York.
Very, very cool. And then are there any last words you want to share with people? Hopeful words, I hope you want to share with people, or anything else at all to leave us in the most beautiful sacred place, or someplace else if you prefer.
I would say to have faith in ourselves that we are made for this experience. And yes, we fear change, but we are change. And humanity is going through this. We are in every single moment becoming brighter. And it is all about, even in the moments when you feel the darkest, it is literally you are being drawn back into a slingshot of depth, into the shadow, into the shade and the shadow, so that you can be released and thrown into, catapulted into what is a higher and better expression of yourself. So I would say fear doesn't belong for us, that we are meant to turn to love.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, Anne. This has been beautiful. This has been deep. This has been profound. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride, but I think that is
Yes,
life right now.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, dive into the joy, dive into the happiness, dive in where you're pulled rather than where you want to run from. Focus on the love instead, and beyond all else, keep on shining bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? What a special interview with Ann Tucker, with the Angels. Great flash, where we're going. Some serious, really serious stuff in there, but all about bringing it back to joy, bringing it back to love, bringing it back to we're going to be all right. And how do we take this and take ourselves to a higher level? On that note, if you want to join a group of mystics, of like-minded individuals, people like yourself who are bringing things to a higher level, who are getting cleared, leaving the old energy behind, finding their vibration, raising higher and higher and higher still, come join us for the School of Mystics. 4 Wednesdays each month, live or recorded. Make your new BFFs. It is a place, a safe place where you can call it home, you can call it family, you can call it like-minded individuals. Bring your energy up. Clear off all wounds and blocks. Find yourself living at a higher plane. And yes, we do attunements, we do clearings, we do group intention meditations, and on it goes. Link is down below. Would love you so, so much to come join us, to come try it out. If you simply want to bring your energy up on a daily basis, go to dailywoohoo.com, and I send out an attunement in the form of a newsletter each and every day to bring your energy up, and it's totally free. It's dailywoohoo.com. And if you want to learn how to channel, to communicate with the angels, with the guides, with higher sentient beings, with loved ones on the other side of the veil, come on over to automaticwriting.com. I would love and be honored to teach you live classes each and every month. That's automaticwriting.com. Here's a link to the next amazing show. Love you so, so much. All the links are down below. Above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? Lots of love. Love you.